Hey guys, it's Enrique from Novation, and I'm here at Kraft Music to show you the Circuit Mono Station. To get a great deal, make sure to check out the bundles at craftmusic.com. So the Circuit Mono Station is a very unique monophonic synthesizer which gives you the ability to send separate sequences to both oscillators independently from one another. Really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and choose a couple notes I like, throw them down onto its sequencer, and we can get a pattern going right away. Maybe I really like this note. You can easily hold it down, place it down a couple spots in the sequence, and you'll have it placed there when you press play. So let's add some more, but this time I'll play them in myself. If I hit record and then I press play, you're now record enabling the keyboard on top. You can stop recording, and then here you can easily go and edit any of the sounds that you like within itself. So let's move around the filter and kind of shape the sound a little better. Cool, so I like that. So now let's focus on Oscillator 2. In Oscillator 2, when you press this, you'll see that the keys now change to green. The green is showing that we're going to be playing Oscillator 2, and currently, you won't be able to hear anything because Oscillator 1 needs to be opening the amplifier. When I press play, while those notes are played, you'll be able to hear me now changing the notes of Oscillator 2. And you can see as soon as I stop touching the keyboard, the notes go back to Oscillator 1's sequence. So this allows you to get some really unique patterns out of just a monophonic synth. Truly, it's a paraphonic synth with the ability to kind of be both. In the Circuit Mono Station, you have 16 different patterns for Oscillator 1, 8 for Oscillator 2, and 8 for the mod sequence, which we'll get to in a little bit. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and tie together 4 patterns in Oscillator 2, so I'm not just stuck to the same 16-step loop. This allows me to play up to 4 bars, or 8 bars, or any combo of bars. As long as you press and hold the next one, you'll see that they all light up, signifying that it's going to cycle through all of those. Right now, we're going to play from pattern 1 to 4. So go back to Oscillator 2, hit record, and then press play. I can now enter in some notes. Even go and change around the shapes of the oscillators. The range. Even the pulse width. Or if I want, with the mod matrix, it's really unique in a way that you can select from the 4 different sources with the touch of a button and then say where you want it to go. So let's send the LFO over to the pulse width modulation of the square wave on Oscillator 2. So now, the LFO, at that rate, you can see that this LED is now blue or very dimly lit. As soon as I turn it right or left, it's showing me a positive or negative value towards wherever the destination is set. So let's go positive towards the pulse width. Maybe slow it down. Another great feature about the Circuit Mono Station is this bypass feature here on the filter. What this allows you to do is have either the noise, Oscillator 2, or both bypass the filter completely and still cut through. So if I press this, you can see that Oscillator 2 is now lit up. If I had the filter all the way, we'll be able to hear both oscillators. And you can see as I turn it down, we still hear oscillator 2 very well and oscillator 1 starting to get filtered down. Let's go even a step further and make sure we have no modulation being sent to the filter. We can see that this one's blue. Velocity is being sent a little bit. You can either reset this as to positive or negative, or you can just hold down clear and turn it until it turns blue. And this will now reset it back to nothing. As well as the envelope. Let's clear that one. And the LFO is going there a little bit, but we can leave that for some variation. So again, filter up and we'll slowly filter down. That's one of my favorite features to use. It's a great way to kind of filter in and almost mix your sounds coming out of the Circuit Mono Station. Another advanced feature about the Circuit Mono Station are its pattern settings. So right now we're going to focus on oscillator 1's sequence. If I hit pattern settings, you have a few options. The yellow bar across the top is your sync rate. These 4 pink buttons here are going to be your play styles. So you have forward, which is basically normal, reverse, as well as a ping pong, and then a random, which is one of my favorites to use. And across the bottom are your start and end points. You can set these by either just pressing to set the end point, or if you hold down shift, you can then set the start point. So now it's going to start here and end here. You can hear how this is independent from oscillator 2's sequence. Oscillator 2's sequence is still going across a normal forward plane 16-step 4-bar pattern from here to here to here to here. But oscillator 1 sequence is just going in an 8-step fashion from here to here in a looping mode. For example, if we hit pattern settings again, and I hit this pink button here, and let's say a little bit slower. So we're going at an 8th, and we're now going ping pong. We can turn up the release. You can see that oscillator 2 is now going twice as fast as oscillator 1, or oscillator 1 is going half as slow as oscillator 2. If we go back and we can reset this, pattern settings, set the start point to the very first step, let go of shift, set the last step to 16th, set it onto a sync rate of 16ths, as well as a forward plane motion. Another cool thing about the Circuit Mono Station is this mutate feature here. It's a shift option. So if we focus again on oscillator 1 sequence, and we go to patterns and select a blank pattern for oscillator 2 so we don't hear it, we just have this. Turn the release down. Where this is really cool is I can say in the pattern section, hold down shift and clear, which is duplicate, and duplicate the first pattern to the second one. Now we're on the second one by pressing it. We go back to note mode to see the sequence. I can mutate this sequence. And what mutate does is it's going to take the notes that you've entered and the values and kind of flip-flop them and create a new random sequence out of the data that you've given it. As well, since Circuit Mono Station has scales, we're currently in a C minor. You also have major, blues, Egyptian, a ton of different scales within here, as well as chromatic. We're going to stick to C minor. When I flip these around, we're still going to be in key. So if I hit shift, hold down shift, and then hit pattern settings, the shift option for that is mutate. And you can see right away that all the notes get shifted around. So let's see what this sounds like. Maybe I like this. This note here, I can easily duplicate that note 1 over to make sure it lands right on the 1 and then clear out that second note. So now we have. So we just made a new pattern or a new bass line or a new lead line based on the very first existing pattern that we created. If you go to patterns, you can press these two together, and now you have a 2-bar pattern. And if you really wanted to get kind of unique with this, we can then change the pattern settings for that second one and maybe speed it up by 30 seconds. And let's do ping pong. So if we go back and tie these together, we can now watch them go in action. It's a really fun way to kind of just create a new sequence that you normally wouldn't think of. That's the beauty of the whole circuit line, is it allows you to kind of think outside the box in a way and just kind of use your ear and explore making sounds. On top of exploring making sounds, in the mixer section, we have a ring which is adding 1 and 2 together. And what this is going to do is basically take the sum and the difference of the two oscillators to create a new wave shape. So I'm going to go ahead and reset the oscillators. In oscillator 2, let's get it to a range of 8, and we can leave it at the square. Oscillator 1, let's do a triangle at 4. So this is going to be really neat. I can then go into oscillator 2 and change around the fine tune or the chorus. If I hit oscillator 1, you can see that these now change to purple, signifying that I'm editing oscillator 1. Now, focusing on oscillator 2, I'm going to go up higher in an octave. Maybe even change the pulse width. This allows you to kind of explore and create these really nice, really big sounding analog waves. And one of my favorite things to do personally is to find a wave that I like and resample it in either a DAW of some sort or an actual sampler. Another thing is you can even sync oscillator 2 to oscillator 1. You kind of almost get these FME type of bells. Kind of find these nice sweet spots and easily save your patches. If I hit patches here, you can see we have 2 different pages using the pattern octave buttons. And this will then say, cool, where do you want to save this? You hit save once, you'll see that it flashes, and maybe I want to save it right here. Boom, now our patch is now saved there. As well as saving patches, you can also save your sessions. You have 32 sessions that you can save from. Easily hit save, again, see where you want to save it. Hit the octave button to choose a new color for your session, for example this blue, and maybe I want to save it here. You can see that it flashes green. Now when we jump away, it'll be that same blue that we selected using the octave buttons. So this allows you to have 32 songs that can all change, receive pattern change messages, and in each of those 32 sessions, you have your 16 patterns for oscillator 1, 8 for oscillator 2, 8 for the mod sequence, as well as all the patch data inside each of those sequences. Using the USB on the back, you can easily upload these and back them up on Circuit Components' website. And it's a really easy drag and drop feature to kind of organize and keep track of all your sessions. On top of the mod sequencer, it's really fun to use, especially when, if we go back to another session of ours, let's say this guy here, and we'll put in another sequence really easily. like this note. And maybe here. This note, let's move it over one. So in the mod sequence, when I press mod sequencer, what we're looking at are different values that we are then setting on that step of the sequence. For example, on the very first step, I can say I want a value of about 120. On the fifth step, let's go full value. Here, we'll go about a quarter, half, just kind of throw down some random amounts. And as I press play, you can see that these values are now being shown, but you don't actually hear them. And the reason being is because in the mod matrix, we hit source, we go over to sequence, and in the sequence, we can then send the mod sequence to any of the 6 destinations. If I had a modular system, you can even say auxiliary CV. And what this will do is out of the auxiliary CV on the back, send that anywhere else as a CV value. For right now, let's focus on the filter. I hit filter, you can again go positive or negative. Let's go positive. Maybe I want this one to be a little lower. So you can hear how it almost creates a sample and hold style LFO that you designed. But if you don't want it as sharp, you can easily hold down shift and hit smooth. And what this will do is smooth out the values between each step. Very noticeable when I turn the resonance up. Versus and these are just a few of the advanced features on here. You even have things like glide, fixed velocity value, and expand mode, which allows you to access 4 octaves of the keyboard, or if you're in chromatic mode, you can access 2 octaves of the keyboard. Of course, the dual mode, oscillator syncing, key tracking of the filter. The filter itself, you have low pass, band pass, high pass, as well as a 12 dB slope or a 24 dB slope. And again, one of my favorite features is this mod matrix. It's so fast, so quick, and so unique to use. And it just adds a lot of fun and a lot of versatility to such a thing. For example, one of my favorite sessions on the Circuit Mono Station is this session right here. It's a analog drum machine out of a monophonic synth. So check this out. You can see that all these are tied together. And in this, there's even a lead line. This just goes to show the true versatility of the Circuit Mono Station. All the parameters on top can be record automatable. Any of the knobs or the faders, you can easily just hit record, press play, turn it, and you'll see, for example, if I press play and press record and then press play, as soon as I turn anything, you'll see that it turns red. And as soon as I hit record, you'll see that those LEDs are now moving on their own, showing the value that you just added to the sequence. If there's any of those you don't like, hold down clear, turn it until it turns red again, showing that you just cleared that value. Let it go and you're good. This can be set for anything on either a per step basis or just recording it in live over the course of all the patterns. Each pattern will hold its own automation data, so it adds a ton of unique versatility to this box. Another great feature about the Circuit Mono Station is that it has 3 different types to its analog distortion. Let's focus on those for right now. So again, I'm going to go to a blank session. Any of the dimly lit ones, you can see that mine is nice and full. But this one right here is a little dimmer than the rest, showing me that there's nothing in there. If I go to patches, I can select this dimly lit one, showing that it's just a blank raw patch. Let's go down a couple octaves. Awesome. So right now, let's focus on type 1, and this is how the filter sounds with no distortion. Again, there's a pre-filter overdrive and a post-filter overdrive. So right now, let's focus on the pre-filter overdrive. Versus none. Let's do resonance about 12 o'clock with none. Resonance at full with none. Now let's turn the overdrive to about 12, resonance full, and a filter sweep. Full overdrive, full resonance, and a filter sweep. Resonance at 12. And then no resonance, but full overdrive. You can see this adds a lot of girth to the sound. For example, if we put this on a sine, it's just a great sine wave that you can really feel it as well as hear it. We turn the pre-filter overdrive down, resonance down, and now focus on the type 1 post-filter distortion. We'll turn that up to about 12 o'clock and then do a filter sweep, just like we did. Now let's go full. Give it some resonance. You can find a nice little sweet spot. Maybe add some pre-filter overdrive. Now let's focus on type 2. Resonance is at 12, and let's do a filter sweep. Type 3. Turn the resonance up a little bit more to about 75. You can really hear it show its true colors. Let's go ahead and have a little fun. Let's put the LFO to the filter just a bit. Let's find that sweet spot. And then turn this up till you see a little bit of a value. Maybe slow it down. I could be here all day with this. It's one of my favorite features about the Circuit Mono Station. So those are some of the advanced features on the Circuit Mono Station. Once again, I'm Enrique Martinez from Novation here at Kraft Music, and thanks for watching.